Hello and welcome to Mad Owl Goes Racing, and today we are back in Automobilista 2 having a look at the latest beta update prior to it going out to early access, and this is version 0.8.3.0. I don't know why I'm looking there, it says it right in front of me here as well. So without further ado, what I'll do is I'll have a go through the changelog, point out some of the things, and we will have a look at one or two of the items that are mentioned. We will have a go through some of the other details, and then we'll have a look at the EA roadmap and what's coming later. So I start with the changelog. Content: added Jerez without the center chicane. Hooray! So now you can go around that corner like a clap as a hell. And we'll have a look at that in a minute, because I think some of the other updates they've done have made it look even better than it did last time. Right, UI and HUD added additional pass for HUD editor from options edit HUD layout. Well, I'll have a look at that. For those that have never looked at Project Cars 2, it's very similar. In fact, it's almost identical. And for those that have seen it and never quite worked out how the hell to get it to work, I will explain all in a minute. Initial pass on telemetry HUD, so that should be there. I will have to remember to press the button to make it show up. Fixed missing class icons, fixed class positions incorrectly displayed during single class practice, fixed supercart stock V8 mini class icons, blocked lap timer incorrectly displaying in HUD off variant. So presumably if you turn it off in the HUD it was actually still coming up. Fair enough. Disabled currently unused containers and elements. Created separate leaderboard and lap position info HUD elements. Disabled leaderboard by default on light HUD variant. Updated track maps for VIR, all configs. Snetterden, all configs. Velocitor, all configs. Jerez 2019. Added a missing track logo for Snetterden. So now you know what you're looking at before you look at it, I think. Increased vehicle preview resolution, presumably that's the image when you select the car. I don't know whether it's the... I'm assuming they mean the big picture rather than the little one on the left. Physics, FFB and AI. Updated FFB, updated tyre scrub formula, road feel, added minimum force function, set to 1% in default profile, added a updated low force boost curve. I'll get onto that in more detail, but basically they've rewritten a whole load of stuff in the FFB. Added inclination torque functions, and it says in brackets, adds to FFB load through cambered corners. That's not strictly true. I will read in a minute what it actually says as a change to that. Reduced wheel contact factor in all open wheelers. Reduces the chances of cars launching into the air with relatively minor contact. So if your wheel touches another car's wheel, you don't end up in the sky somewhere. Formula Classic All Gens adjusted default front wing setting for better aero balance. I assume they've pushed the aero balance forward a bit because quite a few of them were a little bit on the understeery side. It then says adjusted F Classic All Gens Ultima GTR tyres. I assume it means it's adjusted the tyres and all. Right. Formula Classic G3M1, the fixed gear ratio scaling for 7 gears. I think that was the one that 6th and 7th were the same for a while. Formula Ultimate, adjusted torque curve and throttle map for smoother power delivery. AI tweaks, faster lateral reactions, smoother brake application, less performance and range in throttle brakes, faster brake application, less performance lost as AI driver loses stamina. Poor dear, it's getting tired. AI performance calibration passes for all cars. That will be an ongoing thing for a while. Tracks, added alpha to coverage to all foliage shaders, improves quality, only works with MSAA. Why would you be using anything but MSAA? I don't know, because it probably gives you the best look. Jerez reworked wet track material and puddle mapping. fine-tuned road blender textures and vertex alpha blending to improve some blending abnormalities. Alton Park, fixed pit wall collision bug. I didn't realise there was one, but it's fixed. Night lighting updates for Cascavel, Vela Park, Kansai, Gianaro. Going out and that other one there. Jerez, Imola 2001, Imola 1988. I wish I could read, it would be really useful. Cobra Uno, sorry we're on vehicles. Cobra Uno updated deliveries, partial adjusted collision mesh. You have to be a bit careful. The collision mesh, I think I've said this before, is basically like a very low poly count version of the car that sits in exactly the same location, but if you get the thing slightly too big, too small, you can end up with weird looking collisions. You can also, if you make like the front of a car that's got a sharp nose on it too steep, you can actually end up ploughing underneath other cars and things like that, so they can adjust it so it makes more sense. Yeah, I have got a, I don't know if it's public or not, it might not be public. I've got one from Project Cars 2 where I think it was one of the AI literally drove underneath another AI. So it went underneath the car and the car popped up above it and then popped down behind it. So it's quite funny. Super V8 adjusted collision mesh, updated Vertex AO. Gold Copa Classic added LODs and updated materials. Formula Ultimate updated liveries and with logos. Right, getting back to the FFB. Basically, there is some tweaked FFB coming in a later update. Problem with current one is at settings lower than 50%. There is no big difference regarding low forces from say 20 to 50. So there was complaints about too much build up of force on high aero cars and having a limp wheel around the centre. I'm sort of trying to paraphrase a bit. The new FFB in its core is no different than the old FFB except for bug correction. One of them slipped changelog, and that is self-aligning torque in old had bug which would lead to it being very high in some cases, leading to very high build-up on some cars. That is at its core force calculation in steering system. Only difference, and this is the bit about the inclination camber torque, is not related to cambered corners as in the changelog, but is small self-aligning torque occurring on the tyre if it doesn't sit 100% flat on the ground but has camber. So it's not going through cambered corners, it's due to the camber of the tyre itself. Let me just check. Low force boost formula has changed. As it was on lower settings, it was actually giving more boost to mid-range forces than the low forces. New LFB also mostly boosts lower forces and remains in linear zone past it. So basically they've made it so it's better at boosting the low forces and less of the medium forces. Basically it says if you've got anything above a cheap and cheerful wheel like mine, you should be able to turn the low force boost down to 0, and then you might want a bit of FX, you might not. So basically start off with sort of gain up, LFB down, FX down, and work your way from there. And if you might have to add some, the minimum force bit should work even with a DD wheel as at its default, but if it doesn't, you should be able to set up a custom and remove it. They don't actually give any details on the best way to do that, but I'm sure somebody will come up with something if anybody needs to ask. But basically it comes down to, if you've got a slightly higher sort of 6-7 nanometer wheel and up, you shouldn't have to do anything with the low force boost because you should have enough dynamic range to be able to deal with it anyway. Going on to the roadmap, they're basically saying, yep, it's been out for 2 weeks. and they're expecting to do, they were talking about 4 to 8 weeks of EA. They're saying they're at least 8, possibly 10, maybe more weeks to get to a version 1.0, and they're looking at doing game updates on a weekly basis now, so early access update probably on a Friday or a Saturday, and the beta will be on the Thursday so that they can check things and people can check them before they move it on to the early access. Quick look at what they've got here. I will put a link below for the full thing because it is on the public part of the forum. Game modes, time trial championship will be added within the AA period. Multiplayer features. There'll be a multiplayer rating system and a dedicated server tool integrated, hopefully, during early access. They will be adding DRS curves, push to pass, Cobra truck speed trap. That's certain places you're not allowed to go over 100 miles an hour on the truck, I think it was. Content wise, added over the course of early access, Opala stock cars 1979 and 86 classic stock car Brazil series, Omega stock car 1999 classic stock car Brazil series, Copa Montana. Beside that, 4 more unique classes, adding a minimum of 10 new car models in the works to be added. Sorry, I tapped something and it came up on a menu. Over early access or shortly after. And this is mostly content that's not been officially announced yet, which is interesting. Racetracks, Kyalami Modern 2020, Estoril 2020, both of which are nice tracks. Kart tracks, Interlagos 2020 and the Granja Viana 2020. And a few more of the remaining AMS 1 favourites will be upgraded and added to AMS 2 over its shelf life, so a couple of years at least. UI and HUD, main additions planned for EA are saved replay page, driver profile page, FFB multiplier per car. On the HUD front, customisable HUD, on our way to at the moment. Telemetry HUD, input and FFB meters, which are always useful. General improvements and fixes, updated shaders and textures, 3D animations, I'm only reading a bit, it's in bold now. Camera cinematics. They're also going to be changing a lot of the logos for the trackside ads, because at the moment a lot of them just say Risa, and there will be more different ones. Not quite the words I was looking for, but my brain has just decided to give up on me. Driver names, suits and helmets will be changed out. Car liveries, obviously, fully customised car liveries and create custom car sets is high on a priority list, but no definitive timeline. Lots of audio improvements. Physics and FFB are in a constant process of evolution, with plans for lots of FFB updates in the next upcoming builds. AI development, again, that's one of those, they're hoping to get more handle on the improving performance over the first lap for the AI, because they were deliberately made a bit slow for project cars to stop them piling up in the first corner, which is fair enough, but obviously it does mean that you can basically jump half the field at least when they're getting off the line, and you're just going, yeah, whatever, straight past. Various collision issues, and things like open wheelers and trucks that sit in a garage that they can't get out of because they're too damn big and the door's too small. Some of the trucks are too tall to get out, and some of the open wheelers are too wide to get out, so it's interesting. I think it was the Formula V12? One of the larger Formula cars I tried at Monaco, was it? Went to pull out the garage and hit the wheel every time, so you had to go right out and then turn, which was equally difficult because there's a very narrow pit lane. So And finally, localization. So there'll be French, German, Spanish and Portuguese in time for version 1, with Italian and Chinese to follow. And of course there will be lots of other things done in the meantime. So that's a quick rundown of the changelog, and like I said, I'll link to the roadmap. Now, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we'll have a laugh. Right, now I'm going to go with the Formula Ultimate, and we're going to get a Jerez without a chicane. I'll just check what they said about all the maps and things are there for snared into. Yeah. Everybody going, why does he care so much about snared in? Because it's 20 miles that way and it's my local circuit. And what sort of date we got? That should be reasonable. Come on, hurry up. Haven't got all day. It's getting there. It's getting there. It's getting there. It's got there. Right. You have to get to a track to be able to edit the HUD. This is the same as Project Cars was. Into options, and then edit HUD layout. Now, your first thought is, what the fuck? Now I'm going to swap to the mouse because I'm going to be awkward here. Right, hopefully you can see my mouse cursor. Now you will see that there are various boxes, and you can hover over each one, and each one of those represents a widget on your screen. And if I sit on this one's for track map, I don't think about that. If you click on the little bit in the corner here, you'll get what it's called, which is useful. I should have done that first, and its current level. Now, at the moment, this is off, so you can click on the off and set it on full. I think this has only got the two options of off and full. And if you wanted to move it, you can literally just click on that bit and whoop, if I can get it to that, right, just click anywhere in it and hopefully you can pick it up and move it. Now you can also, and if I go to this, you'll see that my mouse pointer has now changed to a big circle. And if I click as you'll see on the screen, it says A to move, Y to toggle. If I if I push and hold the A button on my controller, I'm now moving it, and you basically just hold your A button down and it'll go wherever you want, and then you press Y and it'll go between the various options of off, on and full. I will put it back off. Now I'm going to move down here, and I'm going to grab this thing that's underneath my face here and move it out to here, and now you should be able to see it hopefully. And that's the Speedo, and at the moment there is a minimal version. There is the off option and there is the full option, only the full doesn't appear to have anything except when you're in VR, unless they fix that. The reason I tend to use this to do this in Project Cars is because when you do this in VR, you find that the bits you're looking at and the boxes are not necessarily on the same plane, so you're sort of trying to grab a widget that's sort of here, yet the box for it is actually back here somewhere. So what you really should be doing is clicking on the box, not clicking on the widget, because obviously with the sort of projection, you might click on it here, but the actual box is up here, so it's sort of projected through, or it might be the other way around. So it's better to try and sort of look for the little circle and do it that way. There are people who have had no problems at all using a mouse. I'm just inept, obviously. But basically, you can shift everything around. Now, if you decided, oh bugger, I didn't want it like that, you can nip over here, go to the cancel, hit cancel, and it'll go back to there. If we go back to edit HUD layout, there's also the option, should you sort of have moved everything all over the place and gone, oh, that doesn't look right, do reset the defaults and it should put everything back where it was. I'm going to move this up here and I'll hit the save anyway, and it takes you out, but I'll come back in. Now that I've saved it, you'll notice there's a menu in the middle there, and this allows you to change the HUDs for different camera positions. The light HUD, I think, shows up in every option. I might be talking bollocks. I think you have the light option, but you also get the cockpit version. And what happens is, if you're in cockpit view or helmet view, if you cycle the HUDs by hitting whichever button you've got assigned to cycle the HUDs, you will go light, full, this effectively full, telemetry, and off. I think that's 4 in total. Obviously you can change the cockpit separately to the chase camera and separately to the bumper cam, and I think that's the lot, and then you're back to the light. So I think that's how it works. We will check in a minute. I will change some things around. So you can have your sort of light HUD with a minimal amount on it, so you'd have just the sort of minimum stuff you want. So you'd have your sort of timings, position, things like your pit thing, which should only show up when you're in the pits, and your basic stuff with your speed and everything on it. And then you go for your cockpit one, you might go, well, I want all the stuff here, so you'd sort of have your Speedo, then you'd have your map on, because it's on this one, it's off on the other one. Your leaderboard stuff, position, and your timing, and you might want all of that on one, and then you can sort of flick between, so you can have different sets of information on different HUDs, and like I said, you get the 4. Now things like this, I don't know why it's on for the light but not for this one, but whatever. That one's your mirror. It obviously doesn't show as a mirror because it would be a pain in the bum to set it as a mirror. What else we got? That is your penalty stuff, so if it's a penalty coming out, that's your... This one's a bit of a pain in the arse to get to. This is where using it can be a pain. Sometimes you're better off moving other shit out of the way first. Visual split. I'll just put that back where it was. Because if I do reset defaults, it's going to go back. Because you can have things that are going to pop up occasionally. You can have something else sitting in front of it, and then hopefully one will pop over the top of the other. There is also, you might notice it says Hud and Messages. Well, the messages are things like all your generic warnings, countdowns, time penalty message, and you can actually move all of those as well. So if you want your time penalty message to be in a slightly more obvious position, such as sort of smack in the middle of the screen there, then you can move that as well. Obviously, I mean, I think I ended up, I basically piled them all one on top of the other in project cars, and then found out that sometimes you get more than one message come up at the same time, and it makes it slightly difficult to read. But you can move all of these things, so things like your pit board as well. So, and these ones you literally get one at a time showing up, so it doesn't get too cluttered. So you got your messages come up separate to the rest. So obviously, if you got your pit board here, you don't want it to pop up necessarily over the top of that. You maybe want it to one side, depending upon what you've got behind it. So make sure you get it so you can actually see it properly. All of these sort of things. Anything that's something you want coming up to be obvious, I'd shove it in the middle somewhere. But you can move everything, and once you've done, you can save it. But there is also a grid, so that when you move stuff, it literally moves. If you go back to the HUD bit, can't drive. When you move stuff, it literally moves. You can see it sort of going line by line there, so you can have it on a grid, which is quite useful because that way you can make sure you get it in the same place for each one, because it can be a bit of a pain if you every time you flick between the HUDs everything moves. It looks a bit bizarre, but that's the basics. Now, have I moved anything in a silly position? Probably. Yeah, it looks reasonable. Obviously the help just tells you what controls you can use, which is fairly simple. But like I said, it works fine. The only time you'll have a problem is probably when you're trying to do it with VR. And like I said, some people have no problem at all. I'm just inept. Now that we've done that, let's have a quick look round Jerez, because I have to say, immediately I'm looking up there going, I'm sure those trees look even bloody better than they did last time. Have I got a key set up for? Yeah, right, telemetry. Now, hopefully you can see all of it, but it's, I don't know if there's more to come. I assume there's more to come. But you're getting all your temperatures, pressures. So you're getting the temperatures 3 across the screen. You notice it flashing as it goes around because it's been sitting for a few moments. You end up with like little hot spots or cool spots, and it will actually flash different colours. Also getting travel on your suspension with a very nice little coilover shock showing there. I don't know whether they've sorted out the problem which Project Cars never did, which is one of them had the bump stops showing up, so they were flicking red even though they shouldn't have been. So I don't think they ever fixed that. As you can see, it's the height on that side were flicking up and down quite a bit as I went over various rumbly curves. So it's all there. It's also got the FFB meter at the bottom there. How easy it is to read, I don't know, and whether or not it means the same things as it did previously, I'm not sure. Has it got also, is that the steering input? Just to the left of the FFB meter, yeah, that's your steering input. There is no, at the moment there is no input for throttle and brake. You have your G meter in the top corner, and you still get your position meter, so it's getting there. Now, as you can see, we're now on the full cockpit because we have a track map, and if I go to that's the light, that's the telemetry, that's off, so you got 4. We'll just leave it on light. But I am sure these trees look even better than they did the other week. So I have to say, getting more and more impressed with just how this is looking, because it's, I mean, these are 2D trees. They're not even 3D cross trees. They're, as far as I can see, still 2D billboards, and they look absolutely bloody superb. I can't remember if I've still got the everything whacked up to sort of 11, or whether I've turned it down a bit. I keep forgetting this thing's got an H pattern box, so I should probably be doing that with my stereo stick down the bottom there. But yeah, these trees are looking absolutely wonderful. And for those that are wondering, yeah, there is some throttle rumble and brake rumble on the V3s. And look, no chicane. So, yeah, I mean, look at those trees. I have to say they're probably some of the best 2D trees I think I've ever seen. Whoop. This car's quite... what's the right word I'm looking for? Difficult to tame. Lively? It wants to kill you. But it is fun to fling around. But yeah. Now, there's no sort of white outlines or any ghosting or any weird stuff going on with them trees. They are amazingly good looking. Just a thought, can I actually... Have I got look left and right on that? No, I haven't. I haven't got look left and right set up. But it gets better looking every time, which is always nice to know. Now, let's see if I can... I'm really crap at drifting, but yes, I had to say, looking good, feeling good. I mean, I haven't noticed a lot of difference in FFB, but then, as I said, if you've got a low end, the wheel's coming apart here. You know, maybe not, because I pulled it apart and put some new switches in it the other week. If you've got a lower end wheel like this, you probably won't notice any difference. They say it should feel basically the same, and it feels pretty much like it did the last time I tried it the other day. So for me, I don't think it's going to make a huge amount of difference. If you've got a higher end wheel, turn down the LFB and turn down FX and then try it and then work your way back up if you want to. But a lot of people have reported that with LFB on mid to high end CSW 2.5s through DD wheels, that any sort of LFB at all is causing rattling and horrible clunking, and your mileage may vary, but give it a shot. And I think yet again, big step has been taken, and there is so much more to come. And I think at 30 odd minutes of me waffling, that'll do. So until next time, stay safe, enjoy your racing, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.